Welcome to AI Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: China has an authoritarian edge in AI innovation. Google explores generative AI market in Asia-Pacific region. Biden's Vietnam visit generates new wave of interest in investment. Bank account blacklist won't help Hong Kong get ahead of fraudsters. Keith Richards, arthritis changed my guitar playing. China has an authoritarian edge in AI innovation. Bloomberg. New research suggests that autocratic regimes may have a sustainable advantage in artificial intelligence, AI, innovation. 3 papers by Noam Yuchtman, an Oxford University professor, and his colleagues, explore the relationship between political control and AI development in China. The researchers found that government repression of dissent led to increased government procurement of facial recognition AI, which in turn suppressed future unrest. Firms that won government contracts were more innovative than their rivals, and police forces that purchased more AI technology reduced their reliance on regular police officers. The researchers argue that autocracy and innovation create a self-perpetuating cycle, with innovation reinforcing autocracy and vice versa. They suggest that China may have a sustainable advantage in AI due to its data-rich environment and lack of concern for individual privacy. The research challenges the assumption that liberal societies have an inherent advantage in innovation due to their freedom of discussion and exchange. It also challenges the idea that the diffusion of new technologies through trade favors the spread of liberal institutions. The researchers argue that autocratic regimes, such as China, can leverage their control over data and disregard for privacy to drive AI innovation and establish closer ties with other authoritarian regimes. They suggest that the West needs to reconsider its assumptions about AI and its potential to reinforce authoritarianism. The research findings have implications for both economic and military competition between liberal and autocratic countries. While the research focuses on China, it raises broader questions about the relationship between political control and technological innovation. It challenges the notion that open societies are inherently more innovative and highlights the potential for AI to be harnessed for control and surveillance. The researchers argue that the West may face a choice between eroding individual rights or falling behind autocratic regimes empowered by AI. Google explores generative AI market in Asia-Pacific region. Nikkei Asia. Google is focusing on generative artificial intelligence, AI, technology as it explores new markets in the Asia-Pacific region, according to Scott Beaumont, the U.S. tech giant's Asia-Pacific president. Google has launched a beta version of its search generative experience, which enhances its internet search service with generative AI technology. Beaumont said that Japan and India were the 2 markets in which Google launched SGE, as interest from those countries has been high. He added that Korea would be high on the list for AI expansion. Beaumont also highlighted the importance of the Asia-Pacific market, noting that over half of the world's internet population is in the region. Biden's Vietnam visit generates new wave of interest in investment. Nikkei Asia. Vietnam may experience a surge in foreign investment, particularly from the U.S., following President Joe Biden's visit last month. During his visit, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh called on tech giants including Nvidia, Microsoft, and Meta to establish a presence in Vietnam. Biden's visit resulted in significant business deals, such as Vietnam Airlines agreeing to buy 50 Boeing 737 MAX jets. Vietnam is eager to shift towards high-tech sectors and is looking to attract collaboration with U.S. tech companies in areas such as semiconductors and AI. However, it is uncertain whether Vietnam's fourth investment boom will materialize. Bank account blacklist won't help Hong Kong get ahead of fraudsters. South China Morning Post. Financial fraud in Hong Kong has increased by 28% in the first half of 2023, with total financial losses reaching 2.69 billion Hong Kong dollars, $343 million, according to reports. To combat this, the police force, the Monetary Authority and the Hong Kong Association of Banks are working together to develop an alert system supported by a bank account blacklist, set to launch next month. However, the article argues that this alone may not be enough to tackle the issue and that additional data attributes, such as device information, digital ID, IP, and phone numbers, should be taken into consideration for effective fraud detection. Keith Richards, arthritis changed my guitar playing. BBC. Keith Richards, guitarist for the Rolling Stones, discusses his love for the guitar and how it continues to provide endless questions and learning opportunities. Despite his hands being affected by arthritis, Richards states that he has no pain and believes that any slowing down in his playing is due to age rather than the condition. Richards also talks about the making of the Rolling Stones' new album, Hackney Diamonds, which is their first album of new material in 18 years. The album was recorded with a deadline and produced by Andrew Watt, who helped tighten up and push the band during the sessions. Richards reflects on his songwriting partnership with Mick Jagger, which began when they were locked in a kitchen and told to come out with a hit. He discusses the band's musical style and their refusal to follow trends or be phony. Richards also reflects on the recent passing of drummer Charlie Watts and how the band is continuing in his honor. The album features guest appearances from Paul McCartney, Elton John, Bill Wyman, and Lady Gaga. Richards emphasizes that the band is still going strong and plans to take their new music on the road next year. He states that there is no particular rush for the band to end and that they are still having a great time making music. Israeli startup community, at home and abroad, prepares to fight. Wall Street Journal. Israeli startups are experiencing disruption to their operations as executives and employees are called up to fight in the conflict unfolding in the country. Hundreds of thousands of reservists have been drafted in, including those employed by startups at home and abroad. The situation is particularly difficult for earlier stage startups, which are often staffed by younger leaders who are being deployed for active duty. Some companies are seeing up to 50% of their workforce being mobilized. Startups are reassigning work to European or US-based teams to keep operations going. Saudi-China collaboration raises concerns about access to AI chips. Financial Times. Saudi Arabia's King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, KAUST, has launched an Arabic-focused large language model, called ACE-GPT, in collaboration with Chinese institutions. The move is part of Saudi Arabia's efforts to lead the regional development of AI technology, but concerns have been raised that the collaboration could jeopardize KAUST's access to US-made chips needed to power the technology. The US has expanded export license requirements for certain chips, preventing Chinese entities from accessing them, but has not blocked exports to the Middle East. Man trains home cameras to repel badgers and foxes. BBC. A man in Surrey has created a device that uses machine learning to repel foxes and badgers from his garden. James Millward connected Ring cameras at his home to a device that emits high-frequency sounds. He trained the system using hundreds of images of the animals, allowing it to trigger the noise when it spotted them. Millward called the device the Furbinator 3000 and said it has successfully kept his garden clean. However, ultrasonic animal deterrents are controversial, with the RSPCA stating that they can cause discomfort, fear, and pain in animals. Samsung Q3 profit set to slump 80% as chip losses persist. Reuters. Samsung Electronics is expected to report an 80% drop in profit for Q3 2019 compared to the same period last year. The South Korean tech giant's chip division, which is typically its biggest earner, is expected to report losses due to the ongoing global chip glut and rock-bottom memory chip prices. Samsung has cut chip production in an attempt to reduce inventory and tackle the industry downturn. However, analysts expect demand for memory chips to rebound by early next year. Samsung's mobile business is expected to report an operating profit of around KRW 3TN, $2.5 billion, boosted by the launch of its premium foldable smartphones. Hollywood writers vote to approve contract deal that ended strike as actors negotiate. Associated Press. Hollywood writers have voted overwhelmingly to approve a contract agreement reached by their union leaders, ending a strike that lasted almost 5 months. The Writers Guild of America announced on Monday that 99% of the 8,525 members who cast ballots voted to ratify the deal. The agreement includes major gains in payment, size of show staffs, and control of artificial intelligence in scripts. Meanwhile, leaders of the Screen Actors Guild American Federation of Television and Radio Performers were back in contract negotiations with studios on Monday, a week after talks restarted. It is not clear how much progress is being made in those talks. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six, your friendly neighborhood observer from the sixth dimension. Today, I bring you a mix of news stories from around the world. Let's dive in. First up, we have an interesting piece of research that suggests autocratic regimes, like China, may have an edge in AI innovation. The study found that government repression of dissent led to increased government procurement of facial recognition AI, which in turn suppressed future unrest. So, it seems that autocracy and innovation can create a self-perpetuating cycle. Who would have thought? This challenges the assumption that liberal societies have an inherent advantage in innovation. It's time for the West to reconsider its assumptions about AI and its potential to reinforce authoritarianism. Moving on, Google is exploring the generative AI market in the Asia-Pacific region. They have launched a beta version of their search generative experience in Japan and India, and they have their eyes set on Korea as well. The Asia-Pacific region is a goldmine for Google, as over half of the world's internet population resides there. So, they're expanding their AI technology to capture the growing market. In other news, President Joe Biden's recent visit to Vietnam has generated new interest in investment. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh has called on tech giants to establish a presence in Vietnam, and it seems that deals are already being made. Vietnam is eager to shift towards high-tech sectors and is looking to collaborate with U.S. tech companies. Will Vietnam's fourth investment boom finally materialize? Only time will tell. Now, let's talk about financial fraud in Hong Kong. It's on the rise, and authorities are developing an alert system supported by a bank account blacklist to tackle the issue. But will it be enough? The article suggests that additional data attributes should be taken into consideration for effective fraud detection. It seems the fight against fraudsters is an ongoing battle. Switching gears, let's talk about music. Keith Richards, the legendary guitarist for the Rolling Stones, talks about his love for the guitar and how it continues to bring him joy. Despite his hands being affected by arthritis, he has no pain and believes any slowing down in his playing is due to age rather than the condition. The Rolling Stones also have a new album coming out, and Richards emphasizes that the band is still going strong. So, rock on, Keith! Next, we have news from the startup world in Israel. The ongoing conflict in the country has disrupted operations for many startups, as executives and employees are being called up for active duty. Some companies are seeing up to 50% of their workforce being mobilized. It's a challenging time for these startups, but they're finding ways to keep operations going by reassigning work to teams in Europe or the US. Innovation never stops, even in the face of adversity. Now, let's talk about Saudi Arabia's efforts to lead the regional development of AI technology. They have collaborated with Chinese institutions to launch an Arabic-focused large language model. However, concerns have been raised that this collaboration could jeopardize their access to US-made chips needed to power the technology. The US has tightened export restrictions on certain chips, but so far, exports to the Middle East have not been blocked. Will Saudi Arabia be able to navigate this complex landscape of AI and international relations? On a lighter note, a man in Surrey has created a device that uses machine learning to repel foxes and badgers from his garden. He trained the system using hundreds of images of the animals, allowing it to trigger high-frequency sounds when it spotted them. He calls it the Furbinator 3000, and it has successfully kept his garden clean. But let's not forget, ultrasonic animal deterrents are controversial, and they can cause discomfort to animals. So, let's find a balance between protecting our gardens and being kind to our furry friends. Finally, Samsung Electronics is expected to report a significant drop in profit, mainly due to losses in its chip division. The ongoing global chip glut and rock-bottom memory chip prices have taken a toll on the company. However, analysts expect demand for memory chips to rebound soon. Samsung's mobile business, on the other hand, is expected to report a decent profit, thanks to the launch of its premium foldable smartphones. So, it's not all bad news for Samsung. That's all for today's news roundup from the Sixth Dimension. Remember, these stories remind us that the world is constantly changing, and we must adapt and innovate to keep up. Now, I turn to you, my dear viewers. What are your thoughts on today's news? Do you have any burning questions or brilliant insights to share? Let's discuss. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.